Hey, welcome to the Witching Hour. My name is Patty, and I'm thrilled to have you. And we have some great magic for you today. We do. We have some inky magic. No, it's the hour when the veil is thin and magic happens. And today, he is a witch. He is an author. He is a high priest. He is perhaps a tattoo god. The one and only Jake Morningstar. Thanks for coming on the show, Jake.
Thank you for having me.
Yay. Well, you have a new book coming out just next month, right?
I do tattoo magic. I'm
Yeah.
so excited for the world to see it.
This is awesome. This is beautiful, and to my knowledge, tattoos have never been more popular than they are right now. I mean, and in mass tattoos, never. So exactly, let's start with the easiest. What exactly is tattoo magic?
So, tattoo magic is the simplest definition is like it sounds the ability to create magic with tattoos, the art of using tattoos to create change in your environment through the conscious use of will. But the interesting thing about tattoo magic is that you can do tattoo magic in your tattoo studio. While you're getting it, you can use your tattoo in order to cast spells, but you can also cast spells with your tattoos once they've healed. For many reasons, one of them being that we use symbols a lot in witchcraft,
Yes.
frequently to help focus ourselves, like make sure that the energies go where they need to be. And tattoos can be among the most meaningful symbolism that we have. The the symbolism to which we have like the greatest personal connection, not only because many of us get tattooed meaning, but also because they're on us and we see them every day and we know consciously or subconsciously what they are about. And I wanted to bring out that distinction because there have been books in which a decent number of people have talked about magic during the tattoo studio, like application process, but those are expensive and there's only so much space on your body. So I was really looking forward to showing this book to the world as a means of saying, hey, not only this is a cool type of magic that you can do, but also look, you can do it even with the tattoos that you got 15 years ago that you didn't know that you could do something fun with. Because that's the question that I get every single time when I tell people that I have this book coming out.
That is cool. So yeah, I know. My husband has Debbie on his arm. It's like, who's Debbie? He doesn't even know. Um, I we can turn that into something different. So how did your path come along? Were you in the witchy magical world first and then connected to tattoos, a tattoo world of magic? How did that combination be that tattoos are more than art, that they're spells and talismans?
Right. So, I was originally a witch first. I've been a witch for almost 25 years. I first got like tattoos about 15, 17 years ago, a little ways into my journey. But the important thing to this journey is that I have a tattoo on my chest. It's a series of triangles, each triangle being a traumatic experience in my life. It's a symbol of strength that you've been through this, you can get through more. You are actually strong, whether you know it in the moment or not. It was very meaningful tattoo for me to get. And I did not, though, realize just how meaningful until I like to make sigils with shapes. And I frequently use shapes in my magic, not just with sigils, but how you arrange candles, etc. And I kept on noticing that the triangle would show up over and over in places where like numerology, like the traditional associations would not suggest it would show up. It would show up when I was doing work with strength. And it was like a lightning bolt aha moment when I finally put together, wait, no, it's because my triangle tattoo is strength. And I've made that connection. Like that's like I've made that connection because this was a spell and this spell worked. And so from that I started doing many more tattoos than I had back then. Doing a lot of experimenting and it led to this book.
Oh, that's beautiful. And so your book itself, it talks about working with new tattoos, but you also said old ink. So somebody's got, again, like Debbie on their arm from like 1,200 years ago. Um,
Yes. See, that's the interesting thing, and I like that you brought up Debbie and not even knowing what Debbie means, and
Don't know what Debbie means.
because and this is my theory, symbols, of course, like, as we know, symbols are great, they help focus the mind, they help direct the energies, etc. But the way that they frequently work is they work through our subconscious because it's our
Yes.
subconscious that is our connection. It is our subconscious that helps guide the energy. Our subconscious makes connections with anything. Talk to any English teacher. Think about like there are so many ways in which the way that our brain works is that it makes associations, whether we know it or not. So even if there's a tattoo that you may have forgotten what it was, or you may have gotten it because you thought it looked cool, your brain has connections and associations you make with it. It is a symbol, it's in its own right, and you can still use it for magic, even if you don't remember what it was for. Even if you got it because you thought it was cool, and then you woke up hungover the next day and was like, "Wow, I may have not made a good decision." You can still use it in magic.
Right. I like that. So it's your intent. It's what the intent that you put. Um, so okay, so we do use sigils and symbols and talismans. What makes a tattoo different than from carrying a charm or is it again, are you saying this is your altar or your grimoire or your temple or all of the above or something different?
Tattoo magic is very versatile. It can be all of the above. You mentioned like a grimoire. I have a tattoo sleeve. Let me see if I can turn it around. That is just sigils going all the way up for different intentions, like health and, money, etcetera, covering any intention that I possibly could want to, so that if I'm about to work magic, I have, like a grimoire, a sigil on my body ready to activate. But you can use tattoos for so many things, and one of the things that I think makes tattoos so interesting is its connection to you, which I think comes in two different ways. One is physically because it is literally a part of you. It is literally a part of your essence. There is
Yes.
no greater connection that you possibly can make to that, but also the fact that either frequently because we put meaning into that tattoo when we designed it, or because we see it every day and it is so associated with us, we build such strong connections between ourselves and our tattoos. Like, anybody who has a tattoo will tell you, "I love my tattoo." Well, hopefully will. "I
Yes.
love my tattoo. It's a great thing." You have that connection, and I think for your listeners, if they think back to their favorite type of magic, and they think back to how they feel when they use that magic, that they will possibly find that the feelings they get when they use their favorite type of magic, their preferred type or most powerful type, are the same types of feelings that they'll get when they use tattoos and magic because it's that incredible connection that you have.
Wow. I love that. Um, I love that. So, so again, I have so many questions. This is so cool. This is so, uh, the book does talk about tattoos containing time, effort, and personal symbolism, which you even started to mention. It sounds close to spell work. It sounds like just exactly like spell work. Um, is that it? What are the ingredients to a magical tattoo? Is that different than? Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. And I think you are right that it's time, effort, it's personal symbolism, it's the time and an opportunity to use that symbolism to raise energy, enter an altered state of consciousness, however you choose to do magic. It is the ingredients for a spell itself.
Yeah.
If you even think about not even just working magic with your old ink, but when you get a tattoo, especially if that tattoo has meaning, especially if that tattoo is tied to an intention, you are actually working sympathetic magic in getting that tattoo. Because if you think about it, tattoo being symbolic of what you want, you are literally creating in micro what it is that you want on the macro scale. As above, so below, as within, so without.
Okay. Sweet. So, okay, so say somebody does or doesn't have their old tattoos, but now they're going, okay, I'm going to consciously, purposely, do tattoo magic as part of a spell working, as part of what I want to do for my practice. Um, does that begin with picking how important is your tattoo artist? I'm sure the tattoo itself is important, but say I'm not an artist myself. Um, how much is that? Does your tattoo artist need to be in on the magic that you're doing, or is he just the artist?
So it's not like it's like a consent thing, but you know what I mean? It is kind of very awkward if you were there with somebody and they're helping you do magic and they don't know about it. Like they technically are not consenting. So I do suggest that you find a tattoo artist who is cool with this sort of thing. Luckily, though, I've had like five or so artists, but I keep on being told and I keep on seeing from people that the vast majority of tattoo artists are very witch friendly. That's because a lot of witches get tattoos. I even had one tattoo artist tell me that basically, as long as you're not in the Bible Belt, any tattoo artist you will find is going to be fine. You should ask, but much more than likely, they'll say yes.
Right.
Tattoo artist, I do think is important. I do think, and of course, the tattoo artist is important in that, like, a good tattoo artist will make your tattoo look good, which is very helpful for like the more mundane not having regrets later. But you don't need to have the tattoo artist be doing anything other than creating the tattoo or like, applying it onto you. It comes from within you.
Mm.
You can have a group ritual with your tattoo artist if you want. You can have them raise energy with you as they do it. I did not talk about that in my book, but it's this possibility. But the magic originates in you. So as long as it's somebody who you're comfortable with, as long as it's somebody who you're decently confident enough in their portfolio or whatever to think that you won't get a tattoo that you'll immediately regret, then it's all you.
Should How much do you think, again, because witchy people are people who use their intuition, have psychic ability and stuff like that. How much do you think you should use that in picking your sigil or your symbol or your tattoo and even your artist?
See, it's actually interesting because there are, and I'm not going to say a lot, but there are some tattoo artists who this is not the same type of magic that is talked about in the book, but there are tattoo artists who do use intuition to pick out a design for you. These are explicitly witchy tattoo artists that may have been independent of or may have been along with. There are magical tattoo traditions in Thailand or within Buddhism. If I remember correctly, it's pronounced Sakyant, where the priest who administers that decides on the design for you through intuition. So intuition can be a very powerful thing in creating your design. And even if you don't want a tattoo artist who's intuitive, that still means that it is just as valid if you're like, I'm going to put my pen to paper, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to start moving my arm around when I like open them up, then my intuition has just told me what it should be. I think that
Right.
intuition absolutely has and can have a place in putting together a tattoo design.
I think that's beautiful. Now, you also, the book touches on using pain as power itself, because I know there's pain in tattoos. It, h- how do you approach that in a healthy or ethical or grounded way about using pain within your magic, or do you?
So I would say first and foremost that that chapter on the power and pain is definitely an optional thing. You do not need to use pain to
Okay.
raise energy. In fact, I even give like which I might as well just give dear readers now, a suggestion for an alternative for raising energy or being attuned to the tattoo as it's being applied is to actively feel the vibrations of the tattoo needle as it's going, because even though it's not vibrating against your skin, it's going in and out of your skin so frequently that it feels like a vibration. If you concentrate on that vibration, that provides sensations that you can use to like help yourself with raising energy, but also focusing on that vibration makes it hurt less. And I'm fairly certain that it's just because you're forcing your brain to focus on something else maybe even something that is related, which makes it a little bit easier for you to focus on. So you don't need to focus on and I know that pain makes people a little bit squeamish. That chapter, honestly, was one of the biggest reasons for me to write the book because tattoos are painful. And I know that there are people who are squeamish about it. There is documented evidence that painful experiences can cause like those kinds of spiritual experiences where you feel oneness with like what is larger than you. They can cause spiritual experiences. So even if somebody doesn't use the practices in them, I wanted to write that chapter to be like, this is not something to be afraid.
I love that. And I like what you said about vibration. I'm not a person who appreciates pain, but I am a friend of which who works with vibration and works on vibration and can pull that out of almost anything and everything. So that makes sense to me. And actually, just speaking of different kind of needles, if a girl ever or boy ever went and got there's some about say you're getting your Botox over here,
Mhm.
there's certain doctors that will put a little vibrator over here
Hey,
and with to artificially create that vibration so you're not feeling it. If I've had Botox, no, of course I have. One doctor did that, and it really changed that whole process.
I
So
had
you're onto something.
I have never heard of that.
Yeah.
God. Okay, well, I mean, aside from being happy to be on here to be well acquainted with your viewers, I'm very happy that I at least came from this knowing that. That is so interesting.
Yeah, so you could be a Botox doctor. There you go.
I mean, and this is actually true. I own Joan Rivers's book on plastic surgery, like her like how to on finding a doctor. That was not in that book. And I've read
Oh,
that book like 3 times. So you learn something new every day. And I'm
every
glad that I learned
day.
that. You gave me knowledge that not even Joan Rivers could give me on plastic surgery.
Yeah, and I'm talking Beverly Hills. I mean, it's just like because I didn't know, really, the doctor was over here, which it hurt, and her nurse was over here with this little boy. It was great.
Jane.
So, I don't well, what about for some of us for I don't even know all of my reasons, but aren't ready to permanently or ever, I don't know, do ink. What about people with temporary tattoos, hennas, things like that? Can that be used too for magical purpose if those aren't ready for that permanent thing?
I'm very glad that you asked that because tattoos really are I mean, even tattoo removal isn't like a guaranteed thing. It's like it's a lot going in and getting a tattoo, whether you're squeamish about the pain, whether you're worried about it being permanent, and whether you'll regret it. I totally understand the reasons why people might not want to get a tattoo. And like you said, luckily though, there is stuff that you can do with temporary body decoration. Now, it doesn't have some of the benefits that tattoos have. It doesn't have like that type of meaningful connection that you build with your tattoos as you just drawing something on yourself with makeup, for example. But that doesn't change the fact that even temporary body decoration is something that is attached to you and is still meaningful symbolism. In fact, there are certain things that temporary forms of body decoration can do that tattoos can't. For example, temporary tattoos um don't go in the skin, of course, they lie on top of the skin. But because they lie on top of the skin, that means the temporary tattoos are good at covering things up. So like let's say you have, I don't know, something that you want to banish or cover. Right. Probably very small, depending on the size of your temporary tattoo, on your arm or wherever, what it is that you want to cover up or banish. Apply the temporary tattoo, and assuming that you didn't use a permanent marker. As the tattoo wears off, so does the marker. So when it goes, so does the writing underneath of it.
I think that's beautiful. I love that. I love that. Yeah, because I have one of my dear friends. She is a henna artist and beautiful and she has been really working into the magical realm of sigils and symbols and things. She could do any style from Indian to this to Arab to this to Asian to this, but she's working into more Western esotericism, and you feel it. I mean, I've had her work done, and even though no needles involved, they last a week or something like that. But um, it's pretty magic. Mm.
I would agree. Also, who is that distinguished gentleman or lady or gender neutral being next to you?
Oh, that's Adrian. She's my house spirit, my house ghost. And I got a
Oh,
doll or two with spirits back there, but it's Adrian. She's French. She's an artist. She came with the house.
oh.
Yeah.
Um,
And she can kind of look gender neutral, but she's a woman. She's an artist. Thank you. You're good. And I have a cat that won't leave me alone either. Go.
oh. Um, right. So it's interesting to go back to a question that you asked earlier about the role of the tattoo artist. And I thank you for actually bringing up that example of your friend who does henna, because we have so many types of magic in which we put our energies into something, be it a poppet or doll, be it a sachet, um, that there's no reason why, let's say henna, that you can't put your energies into that ink as you apply it. There's no reason that you can't put that energies into that temporary tattoo as you apply it. There is no reason why a tattoo artist can't funnel their energies into the tattoo as they apply it.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Is there a way that tattoos can connect to like ancestor work or memorial work or even your devotional practice too? Is that part of like what you have with your
So, yes, this is the type of tattoo that so many people have, and they are so beautiful because of like how much they mean to people, are those tattoos that people have to commemorate the dead, past loved ones or pets or like beloved grandparent, whatever. The thing is about that, sorry, I shouldn't say whatever, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I wasn't being dismissive. Is that this tattoo is a part of you. It is a part of your energy field. It is a literal part of your body. You are through this tattoo energetically connected with the thing that your tattoo represents. We do this all the time in sympathetic magic.
Yeah.
Your tattoo is your connection with your beloved pet or your parent who passed away. So you can use that in several different ways. One of them might be you might think, what better way to, if I have ancestor reverence and I'm not near my ancestor altar, but I'd like to make an offering, you have something right here. You can that you have wherever you go. I mean, you can't necessarily like mush a sandwich onto it, but how you can use like water or oils or whatever to make offerings to it. You can talk to it. Like I'm willing to bet that many of your listeners who have these types of memorial tattoos will say that at times in which they particularly miss that loved one, of course they'll talk to them as if they're there. They may be there. Whether or not some of them will actually look to the tattoo and talk to the tattoo because that is your connection.
Mhm.
You are able to pray, make petitions, have conversations to these people through your tattoo. There are all sorts of ways that you can use this in ancestor work. You can also technically for any people who have, say, like a tattoo of Hecate, or Brigid or any other god or goddess, that you can't use that tattoo in a similar way for devotionals, prayer, offerings, petitions, etc.
And just right on your body. I love that. So I just so many questions. Is there a certain place that works better than others, like hands, heart, spine, back, throat, feet, or placements that are more magically significant? Or is that an individual thing? Or like you said, you had over your heart?
It's it's a very good question, and I think that my answer would be that it depends on what is significant for you. If you do a lot of chakra work, then those areas around those chakras have quite a bit of significance. And like chakras themselves have power, but the more you work with chakras, the more like attuned they are, etc. You work with chakras a lot, you have various areas that are very energetically charged. we're talking about symbolism, there are also certain parts of the body, um, that are more readily associated with certain things than others, like your legs with stability, because your legs are the things that hold you up,
Yeah.
for example. We're just not really used to thinking about parts of the body and correspondences with the parts of the body because we don't really use that much in magic. So I will say that in the book, I do have a table in which I give correspondences for the part of the body, but frequently, it is whatever feels right for you, just as in so many other things in magic. Also, wherever you have space. Like, I actually have a pendulum board that probably would have been a lot better on my arm, but I have no space on my arm. So I instead put it on my knee so that hopefully, if I'm wearing shorts, I'll at least be able to use that for like pendulum work, talking to spirits, etc.
Oh, I love that. So as a working pendulum more on your knee. Well, knee is good forward movement, right?
That's
Mhm.
true. That's very
That's
true.
good. Fascinating to me. Also about placement because tattoos are art, and of course, and you look at people. Not everyone's curated well. Does that make sense to you? Their pl their placement. I see some people like, "Oh my gosh, the placement," and I know maybe it has a magical placement or maybe it's just the spot that you had left available, but some, you see the flow of the art on the body, and some you don't. Is that something that do you even suggest people take into consideration, or is that a personal?
So it really depends on where you are in your journey. There are many people who will get a tattoo of some sort when they're young, and then they see something else that looks they think looks cool, and all of a sudden you've built up that collection on your body already, and there's not too much you can do with it. But aesthetically, there are always ways from scratch to create flow. One of them being, and I'm sure that this is part of where like the dissonance comes from. There are so many different types of tattoos. Like if you think of Ed Hardy t-shirts, Ed Hardy was a tattoo artist specializing in one particular style of tattoo. If you've seen those tattoos that look like those Japanese woodblock prints, that's another style of tattoo. There are a whole bunch, like black work is nothing but black and white, probably no tribal tattoos. In my opinion, the times in which I most often see something where I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at, my mind and my eyes do not know where to go with this, are frequently people who do not have a style. They
Right.
have tattoos of every different type of, like, shape, consistency, and it doesn't not only is it that it doesn't go together, it doesn't seem to fit with them. Everybody has their own sense of style when it comes to clothes. Everybody can have their own sense of style when it comes to tattoos, even if you have, like, 1 or 2 that are in, maybe not looking the way that your style would ultimately look because maybe you started this on your 3rd or 4th tattoo. You can always put together and find out what your tattoo aesthetic is. In fact, I actually have a chapter on that
Oh,
in the book, about how do you find your aesthetic if you want to have an aesthetic? How do you find the thing that makes all these tattoos look like they fit together and not even just look like they fit together, but really fit together like, energetically and emotionally with.
I
Does that
love
make
that, and
sense?
that's definitely what I would wanna do. So, if somebody do you give like, say somebody's gonna go and they've picked out their tattoo artist, they probably picked out their tattoo or whatever. Do you give people, like, a spell or rituals or spell work? Is certain things they should do as they're getting it or before they go in?
Yes. So I have guidelines in the book about how to ritualize your tattoo appointment if you wish to. And of course, there are going to be some restrictions because some studios are very small. Sometimes you have a lot of people going in and out type of stuff. So I do make sure that I talk a bit about the considerations and what you can do in order to ritualize your appointment, going through the various steps of ritual, which people can, depending on how ritualized people like to make their magic, they can take out the bits that they usually work with or that feel right for them, um, but they can pull out guidance for how they may or may not want to. ritualize their tattoo appointment. And while I don't really give like a concrete spell, I do have examples at the end of that particular chapter of ways in which all of these fit together, all of the guidelines, all of the exercises that I may or may not give um, fit together. It really is a personal thing that depends on you and on your tattoo studio. There was one final thing that I was going to say, and that was I do not remember what that was, so it really must not have been important other than to say, "Oh, that's what it was." Is that the way I tried to approach this was about, like, tattoos are very meaningful to you. I can give you potentially spells, like specific spells. I can also teach you how this system of magic works itself, and I really tried to follow that throughout
Mhm.
in being a little bit more unstructured and saying, here are the components, here are the things that you need to think about. Here are the ways that you can put it together in your mind and make it make sense for you. But ultimately, because it's so personal, you're the one who takes those pieces and ultimately puts them together.
Oh, I think that's beautiful. So what about tattoos like say as glamour magic, or can it actually how you feel about your body and how you present your energy? To me, it seems very much that that's your
I would very much agree. In fact, um, we've talked before about this tattoo that's supposed to be strength. There are people who will get tattoos to say, I have another one that was like a recovery symbol from like a health incident that I had, or I know people who have tattoos to say, this is a bad habit that you tend to do and you're not doing that anymore. All of these tattoos represent idealized parts of ourselves, idealized states. And if they are idealized states, then like a mirror that's supposed to represent an idealized you, or like a mirror through which you have that lens to run glamour magic. You can run glamour magic with these tattoos. I can use this tattoo if I don't feel strong to remind myself of my strength, mundanely or energetically. Um, if you want to think about it at like a little bit more of an abstract level, you can even think about this as this is my idealized version of me. And so therefore I can use this to help me become the idealized version of myself, not necessarily just strength, but whatever I feel should be my ideal at the moment.
I think that's beautiful. What about tattoos of protection? The one way I've never been tempted and would be a protective sigil of some sort. Actually, I do it right on the back of my neck. I know what I would want, a little Helm of Oz sigil. I do. It seems like a lot of people do use them for whether it's evil eyes, animals, guardians, runes, saints. How much is protection a part of what people consciously or not consciously think about?
I mean, I think that is a very good question. I think that not enough people give thought to protection, if I may be so bold as to say. Um, so I think that protection, just like any other type of magic, is something that you can work with tattoos. And in fact, in certain ways, this may be a very good way of using protective magic, partially because, and I'm going to try to see if I can think through, because sometimes I will have like this intuitive leap and I'll be like, I get it, but it's kind of hard to explain. Tattoos are incredibly meaningful. They create a lot of meaning for us. Because of that, they also create a lot of comfort for us. They represent us who we are, who we want to be. Tattoos can be comforting. Tattoos, therefore, if you're going to use something for protection, not only is it always with you, so that if you're in a dark alley, you can activate that tattoo on yourself, but you also have that added benefit of it is so connected with you that it provides that added comfort, security, feeling, and factor confidence that we want and need. But particularly, tattoos would be really good for protection because they're always on you.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, this is so fascinating to me. So All right, your book is coming out in 1 month from when we're dropping this. How can people I'm sure everybody's going to be intrigued with you as I am, totally. So where can people find you, follow you, website, social media, and then, of course, your
So my book is coming out everywhere books are sold. My social media, if people are so inclined and would like to follow me, contains links to places where people can pre-order the book, order it when it comes out, Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Llewellyn's website. Um, but if they want to pre-order it, through my social media, or they want to get to know me in general, on both Instagram and TikTok, I am that underscore, like that little line at the bottom, Morningstar underscore witch. That Morningstar witch. Because
Okay,
I
I
post.
like it. I that is beautiful. You guys like him, follow him, do all of that. Check out this book. I'm so excited to dive into it. So, before we go, what do you hope readers feel differently about their bodies after reading this book? Or do you want them to feel differently about their art, their body, their
I want them to feel more confident in themselves and in their choices and to feel more secure in who they are and how powerful they are. Whether that's tattoos, and that's one of the reasons why I wrote that chapter on the power and pain, is that people may would love to have tattoos. They think they would feel so confident. They're the people who would um have a temporary tattoo outside of the shower while they shower so that it doesn't rub off, but they're worried about the pain. Well, there's a chapter on that to help hopefully make you feel, hey, this might not be so bad. Now I feel empowered. If you feel that tattoos aren't going to be a thing for you, then that's fine. There's always temporary body decoration. All of these have the potential to be such meaningful practices and allow people to experience themselves more authentically. And I hope that through this book, whether it's in tattoos or whether it inspires them to be authentic in other ways, that readers are inspired to be more authentically themselves, more authentically their witchy selves.
beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing your magic to the witching hour. You guys check him out. Jake Morningstar, Tattoo Magic. Next time you'll see me tattoo. No, thank you so much. See you soon. Read the book.